Hey, it's Andrew. I'm here bringing you another Keyforge deck reveal. This time it's going to be Jay Loxley, Farmer of the Brilliant Corner. This one is Dees, Shadows, and Sanctum. Fun house combination there. This one is one of the ones that I opened from Mark's display box. And it's also one of the ones that we played Adaptive with. So I opened this, we played a match without having looked at our deck lists, and then yeah, is that right? I think that's right. And then swapped his deck. Did a little better than this one, won both times, and then we bid it up to 6 chains, and then this deck was able to win in the third round against Mark's deck at 6 chains. So, yeah, Dees, Shadows, Untamed. Let's get right into it. Ooh. All right. And to start off, we're in Dees. We have 2 copies of Amber Imp. I'm going to pronounce it Amber Imp because if you look at the JSON behind the KeyforgeGame.com API, it actually calls it Amber, or the bonus Amber at least is just Amber with an A-M-B. Anyway, the Amber Imp is 2 power, has elusive, and it says after a creature reaps, stun it. That's harsh. It applies to you as well as your opponent. It's kind of interesting. Yeah, okay. I don't love it. I'm not like thrilled to see it. Coal of the Week, we have 2 of those. Gives a bonus Amber, and then you destroy the least powerful enemy creature. That can be pretty nice. Especially, it's a great way. Often those little creatures there's a lot of little creatures that have strong abilities and elusive, and this is a great way to just knock them off the board. Dust Imp, 2 power, destroyed, gain 2 Amber. Never sad to see that. Then we have 2 copies of Gub. Gub is 1 power, but while it's not on a flank, it gets +5 power and taunt. So at that point, it's a 6 power with taunt, which is actually pretty strong. And a good way to protect what? We don't want to protect the Dust Imp. We don't really care about protecting the Amber Imp. We'll have to see what else we get that we might want to protect. Maybe a Tesmal, 2 power, elusive, and when it reaps, you choose a house and your opponent can't pick that house on their next turn. Then we have 2 copies of Unlocked Gateway. That's definitely one too many. I would be happy to see 1. It has Omega, so when you play it, it ends your step 3, and when you play it, you destroy each creature. It's a board wipe. I probably am going to end up discarding it a lot. Then you have Poltergeist, but 1 bonus Amber. Use an artifact controlled by any player as if it were yours. Destroy that artifact. This is good, solid artifact control. It's also a decent option if you have an artifact in a different house that you really desperately need to use on a Dees turn and you're willing to let it die. Then this is a decent way to pull that off. Yeah. And then we have Hecatomb, which is it's an action card that gives you a bonus Amber, and then you destroy each Dees creature. Each player gains an Amber for each creature they control that was destroyed this way. This deck has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Dees creatures, so there's pretty decent potential there. This is, I don't mind having the Amber Imps out if I'm going to get to do this, right? That's pretty solid. And then, on top of that, it's great with Dust Imp. If I kill the Gubs and the Tesmal, I might be sad, but it's really not the end of the world. Well, it is the end of their world, but it's not the end of my world. Yeah, so I'm pretty okay with this Dees set. I think it's fun and does some interesting stuff. All right. Sanctum, Abond, the Armor Smith, 3 power, and it gives other friendly creatures +1 armor, and it can exhaust to give them an extra armor for the turn. So they'd have 2 armor at that point. Chal the Safeguard has 4 power, 2 armor, taunt, and deploy. Great way to protect Abond or some of your other stuff. That's, if you count the Gubs, this is actually quite a lot of taunt at this point in this deck. Sir Meros has 4 power and 2 armor, and after your opponent gains Amber by reaping, Sir Meros captures it. If you think about having this and an Amber Imp out, if they choose to reap, they're going to get stunned and Marrows is going to capture it. So, at that point, they're just going to want to fight. They're not going to want to reap. But this is, strong stuff against decks with small creatures. Smite. It's an action that lets you ready and fight with a friendly creature, and you deal 2 damage to the attacked creature's neighbors. Importantly, you do the fight first, and then you do the 2 damage to the attacked creature's neighbors. Take hostages, gain an amber, it's a bonus amber, and then for the remainder of the turn, each time a friendly creature fights, it captures an amber. That is a nice effect. The Grey Rider, 2 power, deploy, and after it's played, fights, or reaps, you may ready and fight with a neighboring creature. I love it. Alright, into the uncommons, we have Barrister Joya, who's 5 power with 1 armor, and enemy creatures cannot reap. This is a little bit of counter synergy with the Amber Imp and the Sir Marrows. But if you get them at different times, it's perfectly fine. And again, the Amber Imps, I'm mostly excited to just Hecatomb. Not letting enemy creatures reap seems like a pretty good effect. And if they have strong reap effects, then all the better. You're just stopping those. Gatekeeper is 5 power with 1 armor, and when you play it, if your opponent has 7 or more amber, Gatekeeper captures all but 5 of it. And this is a great way to hold your opponent off from forging for a little bit. Gorm of Om gives us a little more artifact control in this deck too. It's an artifact in Sanctum that has Omni, sacrifice Gorm of Om, destroy an artifact. So that can be quite nice. Potion of Invulnerability has a bonus amber and is an artifact that has Omni, you sacrifice it, and for the remainder of the turn, each friendly creature cannot be dealt damage. That can be nice. Prince Derek Unifier is 4 power with 1 armor, and when you play him from your hand, you gain 3 amber if you control creatures from 3 different houses. And with so much taunt, there's actually a decent chance of that occurring here. I've definitely had that happen. And it's, 3 ambers, nice. Then we have, once again, Lord Golgotha, the card that I can't not open. Lord Golgotha has 5 power, 2 armor. I don't mind because it's a strong card. 5 power, 2 armor. And before the fight, you deal 3 damage to each neighbor of the creature Lord Golgotha fights. If you use this with Smite, you're going to do 3 to each of the neighbors, and then fight the middle creature, the target creature, and then deal 2 damage to the neighbors afterward because of the Smite. And, if the first 3 damage kills a creature, then they're going to squish in and you're going to get to deal that Smite damage to a different creature. It's just crazy. All right. Yeah, I like Lord Golgotha, if you can't tell. With the Potion of Vulnerability, Smite, the Grey Knight, there's some good opportunities to get to use Lord Golgotha quite a bit. Okay, on to Shadows. Bad Penny, who I'm often going to discard, although there are some uses. Dusk Chronicles is an action card that gives a bonus amber, and then if your opponent has more amber, then you draw a card. If you have more, you archive a card. If you break even, you do nothing. Gamgee is 2 power with elusive, and when Gamgee reaps, if your opponent has more amber, then you steal 1. And that can be pretty nice. I hope to get a steal out of that, maybe once per game, sometimes more. Lemindra has deploy and elusive. If you can imagine, putting this next to a Gub. The Gub is now taunt and elusive. Pretty crazy stuff. There's 2 Lemindras in here. Good possibilities. Ronnie Wristclocks is 2 power, and when he's played, you steal an amber, but if your opponent has 7 or more, you steal 2 instead. Throwing Stars is the good use of Bad Penny. And, I'm also okay with killing Lemindra this way to get the amber, probably. You deal 1 damage to up to 3 creatures, so you don't have to deal all 3 of it if you don't want to. And then you gain an amber for each creature that's destroyed this way. Bone Rot Venom is one of the hate upgrades. It gives you a bonus amber, and after the creature you attach it to is used, you deal 2 damage to that creature. And that is, good to put on certain annoying enemy creatures. Good way to burn them down, kill them. Lights Out gains you a bonus amber, and you return 2 enemy creatures to their owner's hand. That's a very nice card. I like it. Night Forge, bonus amber, and if you have not forged a key this turn, you may forge a key at +4 current cost. If you get this and you have forged a key this turn, it's just a bonus amber. That's fine. And if you have enough amber and you didn't forge, then it's 2 worse than key charge, so it's not that bad. Yeah, it's fine. Then we have Redlock, who is 3 power with Skirmish, and at the end of your turn, if you did not play any creatures this turn, gain an amber. I find Redlock doesn't trigger very often, but when he does, it's cool. I don't mind getting the amber. I'm not in love with having 3 power Skirmish in Shadows, but it can be okay sometimes. He's definitely not my favorite card, but when you do get that bonus amber, it's cool. And then lastly, we have Key of Darkness, which lets us forge at +6 the current cost, or +2 if our opponent has no amber. And we have some steel in here, although if our opponent has no amber, Gamgee's probably not going to fire. So really we're looking at, I guess, Ronnie. So I don't foresee a lot of situations where the Key of Darkness is likely to fire. But that's okay. The Night Forge has some solid possibilities of going off. And I feel real excited about the Sanctum in here. There's good amber generation. If you can pull off I guess it's not fantastic, but if you can pull off Prince Derek, that's a nice turn. Lots of amber generation in the Dees, some control in the Shadows, as well as generation, and pretty decent long-term board control. And yeah, some amber control in Sanctum, as well as anti-reap in Dees, and artifact control in both of those. So that was Jay Loxley, Farmer of the Brilliant Corner. I hope you enjoyed this review as much as I enjoyed playing the deck. Well, you probably didn't enjoy it quite that much, but I hope you got close, and I hope you get out and forge some keys of your own. Thanks.